What is projector sewing? You've heard your sewing friends talking about it, and you've seen displays in perhaps stores such as Joann's. Now you're wondering, what is projector sewing and how do you sew with a projector? If I were to ask AI to show you projector sewing, it would probably come up with something like this. But that's not really accurate. I'm Sheridith from Projector Sewing, and I'm here to show you what projector sewing really is. Sewing with a projector began as a social movement founded around collaboration, knowledge sharing, and innovation. The moment really took off when Missy Poore founded the Projectors for Sewing Facebook group in 2019. In the group, Missy took a video showing how easy it can be to cut patterns from a projector.
Cutting area I could still see. So I've got my sleeve along the fold here, and then I'm going to cut again with one hand, sorry. But as you can see, I have no trouble seeing that line even while I'm cutting.
Today, it has over 80,000 members. Since then, there have been processes and programs developed by the community members to help with using letter-sized PDF patterns, calibrating the image for sewing, and making digital pattern alterations. All of this was developed before the introduction of commercial sewing projectors, like the Ditto by Joann and Singer. We can't talk about projector sewing without talking about the Ditto. The Ditto is the only commercialized sewing projector system out there. The rest are do-it-yourself setups. This was developed completely separate from the social movement and the Facebook group. The Facebook group and the social movement of do-it-yourself sewing projectors was well and thriving long before the Ditto was released, but the Ditto did really spread the word about using a projector for sewing and how possible it is. And if you're curious if a do-it-yourself projector or the Ditto is the right setup for you, you could check out my full review. I'll put a link in the description. My review is a little bit older, so make sure you do check the written article as well for all the updates in the do-it-yourself projector world and also with the Ditto. So what exactly is projector sewing? Projector sewing is the process of using a projector to shine a pattern onto fabric for cutting out. There is no need for paper patterns. Many sewing pattern companies now offer a PDF pattern file called a projector file, in addition to other printable pattern file types. These patterns are formatted to be viewed on a projector. They typically have thicker pattern lines, larger text, and have an optimized pattern layout. Projector files are not designed to be printed on large-scale A0 printers. Patterns can be projected from computers, phones, iPads, or tablets, but computers are the most commonly used because they provide the most functionality. There are many types of projectors that can work for sewing. A lot of them the same projectors that you would use at home for watching TV or movies. Many can be found on Amazon, such as some of these small ones here. Or you can even look on secondhand marketplaces such as eBay to find used projectors and give them a second life. The restriction of these projectors for sewing is really the distance that you have from your ceiling to your cutting table. I'll put a link below to my free guide on how to choose a projector in the description below. To use a projector for sewing, you first need to calibrate the image. This will allow the image to project the pattern at the actual size onto the fabric. In the past, calibration was done manually by physically adjusting the projector. This was sometimes tedious and a frustrating process that put people off to using a projector for sewing. However, today there are two options for quick and simple calibration. The first is Project and Cut, a software that can be downloaded onto Windows, Macs, and Linux computers. The second is a website called patternprojector.com. This too can be downloaded to any device as a progressive web app or PWA. To calibrate, simply drag and drop the corners onto the rectangle to match your cutting area, and then type in your measurements. Your calibration will be saved next time you open the program. Once your projector and device are calibrated, you can open a projector file and start cutting out your pattern. Let's take a look on what that looks like. Using a projector for sewing eliminates the need to print PDF patterns and tape the letter size patterns together. As a mom of 3 kiddos that grow faster than weeds, this was a major time saver for me. I loved the PDF patterns that I found, but I didn't love spending my evenings just putting together the patterns and then tracing the sizes I needed before getting to my sewing project. Eliminating these steps saved me days in the process. When I had several patterns to create, I found myself spending a lot of money on paper and ink for my sewing patterns. When comparing the cost of ink to a projector for sewing, I found I could save hundreds of dollars over the course of just a few years. Not to mention the space I would save in my sewing room for not needing to store all of my paper patterns. Now that I use a projector for sewing, I have also found that I am more excited about trying new patterns, mixing and matching pattern elements, and testing out pattern alterations digitally. Now you know what sewing with a projector is. Are you ready to jump in and learn how to get started? The first step includes choosing a projector. Make sure to pick up my free guide in the description on choosing a projector for sewing. You'll be so glad that you did. See you next time.